WeatherScope.
Well, a winter storm will keep much of the east unsettled today and tomorrow, producing anything from snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain across the northeast, and even thunderstorms over the Gulf Coast. Good morning and welcome to WeatherScope. I'm Vivian Brown. We have crews on location in Maryland and Massachusetts to tell you what you can expect. With all the details, here's Cheryl Lemke in the Forecast Center. Good morning, Cheryl.
Thanks, Vivian, and good morning. Well, again, we're seeing another winter storm plaguing the east. This time a chance for some icy conditions across the mid-Atlantic, with ice and snow eventually developing across the northeast by day's end. Here's the weather setup for today. We have a very strong Arctic high-pressure cell that's poised just south of James Bay, and it continues to drive in some unseasonably cold air, and that cold air wrapping down through the mid-Atlantic and the northeast. At the same time, a low-pressure area gliding across the eastern lakes this morning. And then we have another low-pressure system poised across the southeast, and that continues to pump in unseasonably mild and moist air. And that moist air is flowing up and over the very cold air that's trapped at the surface, and that is producing the ice and the snow. Still some freezing rain to report across the Shenandoah Valley, the Alleghenies this morning, and parts of the central Appalachians. And it all eventually will be sliding towards the northeast. Now, there will be many major cities affected by this winter storm, including Washington, D.C., right now under a winter weather advisory. Then we have winter storm warnings out north and west of the D.C. area. Meanwhile, we have winter advisories, too, for Philadelphia. And a winter storm warning has gone up today for later this afternoon for the New York City metro area, including Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Westchester counties in New York, and also Passaic County in northern sections of New Jersey. So again, as the storm system continues to move up toward the area, we'll see the weather going downhill steadily throughout the day today. Now, currently not so bad around the Massachusetts area, but again, the weather will be deteriorating as the day continues to wear on. And joining me right now, we have our very own Kristen Dodd, who's in Worcester, Massachusetts. Good morning, Kristen. What's the latest from Massachusetts?
Good morning, Cheryl. Well, as you said, things really are not too bad here, considering, although we have been battling the cold temperatures. Right now, we're still at about 17 degrees, and you can see my breath quite easily. That's how it has been all morning long. The clouds are continuing to show signs of change as they are darkening, and all that moisture is continuing to move toward us. We have had reports of a little bit of light snow as close as the Catskills and also in Islip, New York, in Long Island. And so it is getting closer. While those areas are under warnings, we are still under a winter storm watch for conditions that will be developing later on tonight as well as in tomorrow. And that watch is in effect for all of Massachusetts except the Cape and the islands, where we do expect the warmer temperatures to be in place and for those folks to have rain. Watch out for the winds as well tonight. They're going to be gusting along the shoreline up to 50 miles an hour, and with the temperature of 25 and those steady winds of about 20 miles an hour, we're looking for wind chills tonight to drop off to about 3 degrees below zero. We've been holding up here quite nicely. We had some folks from Bucky Bagels bring us some food this morning, so we want to thank them for that. Now we're going to pack up and head to Boston, where we'll be bringing you live shots later on tonight on the changing conditions. Cheryl?
Thanks, Kristen. We appreciate the update. And indeed, you're going to be in for some pretty active weather a little bit later on today. Now, as Kristen was showing us, it's been extremely cold in the northeast. You can see your breath quite readily. Currently, we have temperatures hovering right around the freezing mark throughout the mid-Atlantic states, and that's why we have the freezing rain at this point. But boy, temperatures really fall off dramatically through the mid-Hudson Valley and across much of New England in the teens and single digits. So it's certainly very, very cold. Cold enough to support some ice and some snow. The freezing rain continues right now for the Dulles Airfield in Washington, D.C. Baltimore also reporting freezing rain for Hagerstown. The freezing rain will be spreading northward, and around Philadelphia you'll see a combination of freezing rain, sleet, and snowfall today. New York City likely to start off as some sleet, eventually turning over to some snow, so there too traveling will be kind of rough later today. And certainly by the evening rush hour and tonight, if you're heading out to dinner, it's going to be pretty nasty too around the Boston metro area. We're watching the moisture flowing into the northeast, flowing from the southwest to the northeast. And as the atmosphere continues to moisten up, we'll eventually see more of that frozen precipitation taking place. As we were mentioning, freezing rain widespread from Greensboro, North Carolina, Roanoke, Virginia, Danville, Charlottesville, Virginia, up through Hagerstown, around the Washington, D.C. area, and quite a bit of freezing rain, too, across eastern sections of western Virginia. That's all working its way to the northeast. Now, besides the ice, another concern today, the snowfall. Locally heavy snow possible for the Poconos, the Catskills across the lower Hudson Valley, and across the Berkshires and parts of Connecticut. Likely to see 3 to 6 inches of snowfall by tonight, making the evening rush hour kind of tough. And we'll see even more snows, though, accumulating in these areas through tomorrow, as the storm system will not be moving very quickly, and we'll have some lingering ice and snow for the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast still for your Friday. Well, as always, we'll be keeping you posted regarding this winter storm as the conditions continue to go downhill across the Northeast. Meanwhile, though, we have some very nasty weather conditions, too, over parts of the west with some locally heavy rain and some heavy snowfall, too. And with more details about that, let's go back to the studios and Vivian Brown. Vivian?
Well, thanks, Cheryl. Flooding is a major concern in the Pacific Northwest today as storm after storm continues to drench the region with locally heavy rain and mountain snow. We have pictures from early this morning in Johnson Creek in southeastern Portland. Fortunately, this creek crested just below flood stage. However, there has been some minor flooding in some areas of Portland. In addition, many rivers and creeks in the region are running high, and more rain is in the forecast. As we've had passing showers, the Portland area, northward to Seattle, and a batch of concentrated rain here in central and northern California. Here's a look at the satellite and radar composite, and you can see quite a bit of moisture across the west. The most concentrated right here in central California, and it looks like another little impulse oriented right here over the central coast of California. We've had widespread snow across northern Utah, Ogden, Utah, and the mountains of Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho. An additional 6 to maybe up to 8 inches of snow possible, some of the higher elevations. Now, freezing levels are pretty high today. The Pacific Northwest in the Cascades up to about 3,500 feet, and southward over the Sierra Nevada region up to about 4,500 feet. So we do have a Pacific air mass in place, and with that in mind, we're not talking about freezing rain like we were dealing with the beginning of the week and last week in the Portland area. It's mainly rain showers, but again, flooding still could be a problem. Some of the creeks still running pretty high across the region. From Chico to San Francisco southward, Fresno, it is damp. Please be careful. Allow extra time if you have travel plans along Interstate 5. And of course, in the higher elevations, you'll find snow, the Wasatch Front of Utah, pretty hefty amounts expected.